This is episode number 24 of I Love This Album, and today I'm going to talk about Corrosion of Conformity's masterpiece, COC, whatever you like to call them, and the album is called In the Arms of God. Their name is questionable, whether you want to call them by their initials, COC, or whether you like to take your time and say the full name of the band, Corrosion of Conformity. Same with SOD, Stormtroopers of Death. Whichever you prefer, the name of the album is In the Arms of God. And it is a masterpiece. I think all these albums I'm talking about are masterpieces, but I'm going to use that especially for today. And of course, I'm going to talk about my history with COC, and I'm going to do that right now. Very, very strange band, Corrosion of Conformity. They, maybe I'll do that next. My history, I can't remember the first time I saw COC. I saw them, it's a little bit strange. I don't have all my ticket stubs. I remember them seeing, I used to see a lot of concerts from kind of smaller bands from maybe in 86, 87, some punk bands, some kind of underground thrash metal bands, and COC and DRI. There's another band, you can either call them DRI, or if you have a lot of time, you can say Dirty Rotten Imbeciles. It seems that they played in Toronto all the time. They played there. To me, it seems like they played there several times a year. I don't really know how often they played. And also Sacrifice fits into the equation too, because if I remember correctly, I saw one of those bands, either DRI or COC, and Sacrifice played with them. And I'm not sure of the venue, I'm not sure of the year. It was 86 or 87. I want to say I saw COC at the El Macambo in Toronto, and I think it was with Sacrifice, but I may have seen DRI with Sacrifice at another venue. I'm really not sure. So I kind of just babbled there for about a minute and didn't really tell you anything. Now one ticket stub I do have for COC, Corrosion of Conformity, is right there. This is from December 29th, 1989. I used this ticket stub as a prop when I talked about Death Angel Frolic Through the Park, I think. But the funny thing about this show is that COC never played it. You can see they're on the ticket. It was a good show. It was supposed to be Death Angel, COC, Razor, Ludachrist, who became Scatterbrain, Gothic Slam, and Blessed Death. I remember this concert because it was one of the coldest nights I think I've ever experienced in my life. December 29th, 89. There was a snowstorm that day or that morning, or maybe the night before or something. Maybe that was why COC didn't play. I don't know if they got stuck in the snow or something. That used to happen a lot back then too. Some of these bands I used to listen to when they would come to play Toronto, they couldn't get across the border because maybe one of the members had a minor drug, marijuana charge or something like that, or a DUI. I don't think COC had anything like that involved in their band, but so I did have a ticket for this, but COC didn't play. And then I saw COC again just a few years ago in Mexico City in 2018, let's say. I can remember dates and years from 30 years ago, but not from 2 or 3 years ago. And that was my first time seeing them with Pepper Keenan. Which now I'm going to talk about COC. I'll just try to keep this brief before I get to the album. Maybe the most unique band that I listen to. Of all the bands I listen to, COC is maybe the most unique. If you know them, you'll understand why. They never put out the same album twice, I think, really. They started kind of as a punk band. Sometimes they were metal, sometimes they were more what people, not me, would call Southern rock, especially with America's Volume Dealer. Some people would call them doom metal, also not me. Or stoner metal, which is maybe in the more 10 years or so, maybe people would call them that. They had different singers, they had different lineups. I don't think there's anybody in the band that has been in the band the whole time. Mike Dean even missed some years. I think Woody Weatherman, I'm not sure if he was in all the COC from the beginning to now, I'm not sure. Pepper Keenan came in as a guitarist, then went up to frontman and then left, and then now he's back. So you never know what you're going to get with COC. So I'm going to talk about the album now. No, I'm going to say, first of all, Pepper Keenan is, I'm going to call him the MVP of metal, or the MVP of this kind of music, whatever you want to call it. He writes the songs, he sings, he plays guitar. He's got I think he's got everything. He's got the whole package. Like I said, he's the MVP in my mind. Pepper Keenan. Nobody really talks about him. He's kind of like the maybe a little bit like James Hetfield, frontman, singer, guitarist, riff master. I wouldn't say sounds like James Hetfield, but definitely has the same style. Especially on this album, he hollers. He doesn't yell or scream or shout. He hollers. Very, very powerful voice, but also like very, I don't know about melodic, but amazing voice and incredible power. So Pepper Keenan for MVP. That's what I think. So I'll talk about this album now, In the Arms of God. I guess, as I said, because Corrosion of Conformity had so much going on, and you know, they're always different. I kind of like them more at some points than others, and I'm not sure, but I think around America's Volume Dealer, even though I like that album, I'm not sure why. I did buy that album when it came out, and I liked it, but I, for some reason, lost track of them. So then In the Arms of God came out in 2005. And I remember the video for Stonebreaker, and I don't know why, but I didn't buy the album at that time. And then Down, the third Down album, which was Over the Under, came out in 2006 or 7. I think it came out in 7, which made me, you know, one thing leads to another, and it, just like The Fix, and it led me to go back and listen to In the Arms of God. And I downloaded it, I think at the time, in 2007. Bought it from Amazon. This is when I was already living in Mexico, and getting stuff from Amazon was very expensive and it took a long time. And I bought In the Arms of God, and I'm going to say, and I'm going to put this down, that means you know I'm going to say something serious. In the Arms of God, I would say, is maybe my favorite post-2000 album. Out of all the albums that have come out post-2000, I don't know why 2000 seemed to be a good point in time where you can say everything was pre or post 2000. And I would say that my other two contenders, I would say, for best post 2000 album, and I've talked about them both, are Testament, The Formation of Damnation, and Pearl Jam's self-titled Avocado album in 2006. And probably when I talked about those, I said those were my favorite post 2000 album. But for today, I'm going to say, and it's not an exaggeration to say, that In the Arms of God is my favorite post-2000 album, and by far my favorite COC album. I love COC, but nothing that they've done, nothing that they did before that, and the 3 albums and 1 EP that they've done after it, nothing is close. Not because they're not as good, but because In the Arms of God is so good. So going through this track by track, the aforementioned Stonebreaker kind of has like a psychedelic intro, and then it just pounds you in the face. It's very heavy, and Pepper Keenan is just screaming, scorned by your petrified eyes, reborn with unjustified lies. There's no need to commit, just burn the heretic. There's nothing gained once again. I love that song. Don't know what else to say, but just I love Stonebreaker. I love his shouting, and then you have the It reminds me a little bit like Cheerleaders in the, I guess it's, I'm not sure if it's the middle part. Hey, hey, it sounds like Cheerleaders to me. Next is Paranoid Opioid, very fast, thrashy song. It's not thrash metal, but it is very fast and thrashy. And Pepper does a couple of little, both in the beginning after the opening riff, a little ooh. Tom Warrior. I hear Tom Warrior there. I don't think Pepper Keenan was sitting in the studio thinking that he wanted to sound like Tom Warrior, but to me it does. And then again after in Paranoid Opioid, the part, the middle part where it stops or slows down, and he says, "Have you seen my mother?" And then ooh, and then the riff comes in again, Tom Warrior. Those two songs, Stonebreaker and Paranoid Opioid. Why not? I'm going to say that those are as two good. How can I say this? As good a two opening songs as you'll ever hear on any album ever. Those songs are unrelenting. Next is It Is That Way. That one's a little bit slower. And another, is it this one? There's another Tom Warrior Celtic Frost thing there. It is. It's the part in It Is That Way. It's kind of a slow, definitely slower than the first two. And there's a part near the end. I think it's after the solo. So what do you want me to? It's after the solo, and then when the vocal comes in again, it's so what do you want me to be? And there's another Tom Warrior there. I can't do that, but Pepper Keenan does a good Tom Warrior. Next, Dirty Hands, Empty Pockets. Yes, I'm already gone. Very interesting bass on that. Mike Dean, I think, is considered in metal circles to be one of the best bass players in the genre, for whatever that is worth. And Dirty Hands, Empty Pockets starts with a very interesting bass intro that almost sounds backwards. It sounds, and I mean this in a great way because I love that song and I love this album. It sounds backwards. It sounds very strange, very unnatural. There's a righteous fool among the weak, where fallen man is bittersweet, and to his soul he defecates. Into this world we're filled with hate. Something like that. Another great song. And then the chorus comes in. It's very, very heavy, and then it goes back to the bass after the chorus. Rise River Rise, great song. That's acoustic, but still a very it's not really a mellow song. It's got acoustic guitar, but it's a great one. Rise River Rise, great chorus too. Very, very big, huge chorus on Rise River Rise. Never Turns to More. That is probably my favorite song on this album. There's as I said, Stonebreaker and Paranoid Opioid could definitely be my two favorites, and there's another one I'm going to talk about later that could be a favorite. But I think Never Turns to More. It's got all the things that I like in a song. It's got them. It's got a kind of a cool intro. It's a long song. I think it's 7 or 7.5 minutes or something. It's got many different parts. Great. The vocals, the riff. What else? I feel like I need to say more about, and I'm not prepared, of course, about Never Turns to More. Oh, the middle part. I should say I know the middle part. The riff. Total Black Sabbath. That could easily be a Black Sabbath part. It's the musically where it comes into the lyric that's out of sight, out of mind. You took me to a different place, different time. I believed in you. Out of sight, out of time. What comes after that? Should I look this up? Dead Time, Disgraceful. No, I can't find it, but yeah, that part is total Black Sabbath. That's a real Black Sabbath riff, and COC are big Black Sabbath fans, so that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. Total amateur hour here with me. Infinite War is next. I think that's Woody Weatherman singing that. I think Mike Dean sings one line, maybe in the bridge or something, but that's a very heavy song, and Pepper Keenan sings kind of, I guess in this they're kind of backing in the choruses. Infinite War. That's Woody saying Infinite War, and then I think Pepper backs him up, and then Mike Dean sings a couple of lines after the chorus, maybe in the bridge. So Much Left Behind. That's another kind of a little bit of a kind of a slower one. Good song too. The Backslider. That's a real Black Sabbath song there. I think not as much musically, but Pepper's vocal, the vocal melody. I could totally. He doesn't really sound like Ozzy, but I can totally hear Ozzy singing a song like this, and kind of interesting too. There's some kind of melodic backing vocals in the chorus of this. Back to Rob You Blind. Here to Rob You Blind. What is that for the Backslider? Hard to read these lyrics. They're all kind of messy. What am I looking for? Oh yeah, Black Slider. Some people know the order. Beware, backslider. It's Black Sabbath. I should say Aussie, maybe not specifically Black Sabbath, but very Aussie vocal line in the Backslider. Next is World on Fire. That's a good one too. Great riff in that one. That also, maybe was I confusing? This also has cool backing vocals that maybe you wouldn't expect from COC, that are a little bit different from this album. Kind of a little bit melodic. Running while your world's on fire, back to rob you blind. Yeah, that one has cool backing vocals too. Never bitched, never moaned, never gave the king the time, never cried, never lied, never gave the queen a dime. I think that's the lyric. Crown of Thorns. This is, I've talked before about filler. I think not necessarily a bad thing. I think Crown of Thorns is a little bit filler, just in the fact that it's kind of a short song. It serves more as an introduction to the next song. I love it too. It's a great one. As I've said before, I think there's filler, I think automatically has a bad reputation, but to me there's good filler and bad filler, and Crown of Thorns is very, very good filler. It's a very acoustic, quiet song. There's no drums in it. There's nothing. I think it's just acoustic guitar with a really, really weird, creepy, towards the end, there's a guy, well, I guess Pepper Keenan is saying, I hope you find solace in your ways. I hope you find solace in your ways. And there's a sound, it sounds like a whipping sound. And there's a guy like, with cries of anguish. He sounds like he's being whipped or tortured or something. It's a very creepy song. It's, what's the opening line to that one? 1, 2. This happens all the time. It's so easy to sing along when you're listening to a song, but then when you're talking about it and you can't find it, it doesn't matter. But what's the opening line of Crown of Thorns? Time has shown the line, crown of thorns divine. Choices are hard to find, mistakes are made, but they are mine. Earth so far below, spirit sinking low. Reasons don't seem so odd. Sleep tight, my friends, you're in the arms of God. And then that leads into the title track, which is In the Arms of God, which maybe that's my favorite song. I mentioned earlier that it could have been the first two, Stonebreakers, Paranoid Opioid, or Never Turns to More. But I might go with In the Arms of God. It's another longer song. It's around 7 minutes. Very, very heavy. It's probably the most metal song. It's not thrash metal, but it's thrashy. It's the thrashiest song on this album. If you like thrash metal, this would probably be your favorite song. Full of riffs from beginning to end. Double riffs. This song has everything. And the middle part. I'm forgetting this one again. I'm so unprepared. It wasn't that I'm unprepared, it's just something I'm thinking of. It's kind of a spoken word. Pepper does a spoken word. These are the things that condition the man, seldom shown the ways to understand. Locked in a cage and shown the wrong view. Standing alone like a heart was still beating, but you know it's true, something like that. Locked in a cage and shown the wrong view. Standing alone like a lightning rod. Sleep tight, my friends, you're in the arms of God. And Pepper screams God, and it goes on for 15 seconds. And the next 2 minutes of the song, the last 2 or so minutes of the song, are just chaos. It's just riff after riff after riff, just again and again, just an onslaught of riffs. And then the album ends. And that's where this ends for me too. So for me, not even close. Nothing is close in COC's catalog to being the best one. And they have a very vast catalog. They've been around since first album was 84, I think. And so In the Arms of God, In the Hands of Dan Bowski, I love this album.